And because I save everything and I document everything, I'm the one that's gonna talk about our history when we were little. So I started off saying that I'm Larry's favorite daughter and Mark's favorite sister. I am the only daughter in the family, so, right? Yeah. What I wanted to, first of all, I was, and my other brother too, we were all at the 75th gathering at the Forestry Center 25 years ago. And when you count back and go, well, how old was I? It's like, wow, it makes sense that this company is 100 years old now. R&J has impacted everyone I know here in different ways. And I wanted to take the opportunity again to talk about how it impacted my life, and I'm sure my younger brother too would say the same. As a kid, we had trips down to the R&J yard, which was a storage lot down by the Willamette River, where all the construction supplies were stored, and the nails and you got it, whatever it was, I guess, it needed to be taken out to the site. My dad would pile my brothers and I into his green Malibu sedan, and on a Saturday usually, and we'd accompany him down there, probably to give my mom a break and get out of her hair, to the yard for him to work on a project, or maybe to check on, I guess, the delivery of something. He'd unlock the padlock on the gate, and we would all be free to wander and just kind of be wild in this gravel lot with shacks that had padlocks on them. And it wasn't just a place that all this stuff was stored in. I have really vivid memories of it being a carpet of old nails and shiny screws and bolts and agates. Hardware was, I guess, loaded, and boards were loaded and stuff, and busy, weekdays where stuff was dropped. So we got down there, and my dad would say to us, "What are you doing? Get busy and start picking up stuff." We actually at times were actually told, if you pick some stuff, I'll pay you. So that was quite an incentive at that time, and I'm sure it was quarters, but nevertheless added to our money that we accrued berry picking back in those years. So I kind of wanted to address some of the lessons that I think I learned actually from those early days that really truly had to do with the things that Dad got us involved in that had to do with work. And a first lesson, I guess I would like to say, is that we learned what hard work was, and that you can make it fun, and it comes back to reward you. Time moved forward, and I'm in high school, and I frequently go down to the office, the R&J office after school, because I go to high school downtown, and I go down there to get a ride home from work with Dad, rather than having to take the TriMet bus home. The Oregon Pioneer Building had a very strong sense of place, so it's fun to hear you talk about that, because there's not a lot of people that have those memories. I remember arriving in the lobby, and I was overcome with the smell of turkey from Huber's restaurant, and a hello from the nice person that stood behind I think they call it a sundries counter. We would call it probably a snack bar, but it was in the lobby, and there was always a happy person there that would say hi to you. The lobby was dark, rich wood, and brass detailing, and very formal, and I'll never forget the elevator that you got in, that you had to open the iron gate to get upstairs, which in some ways was kind of scary, but it was very, very fun. The first person to meet you when you came into the office was the kind face of Betty, which we know was invited, and I wish she was here today to hear this, but Betty sat at the desk behind a high reception counter that there was a banker's door in. I think that's what it's called, the banker's door. She'd see me and she'd say, "Your dad's in, come on back." And so the banker door flipped back and forth, squeaking. And I remember feeling like we were going into like Perry Mason's chamber or something. I had never seen a door like that before. You'd hear metal file cabinets opening and closing, and typewriters clicking, and adding machines, totaling things, which probably a lot of the young people here Don't know what it sounds like to hear a calculator make noise. But I never remember being greeted by anything but a smile from Betty, and I would guess that I'm not the only one that felt that way about her. So the second strong lesson that I'd say I got from that was that the first impressions when you come into a business really build strong relationships. As I walked back to Dad's corner office, I would pass Mr. Jolivette's desk. I don't remember Mr. Laughlin being around at that point, or of course Mr. Reimers I think was, I don't know, maybe he was always busy, but Mr. Jolivette always seemed to be there when I'd come there after school. I don't remember him wearing anything but a three-piece suit and his hat sitting on his desk, and often he would be taking an afternoon nap. So if I caught him when he wasn't sleeping, he'd ask me about school and show a lot of interest in my interest, which was design and architecture at the time. He'd share with me his own daughter's experience in college and how he didn't see her often because she lived clear across the country. One afternoon, my senior year, he asked me to join him at his house for dinner. And as a very insecure teenager, I was terrified and mentioned it to Dad, and with Dad's encouragement, he said, yes, you should go. Dad took me there after work and dropped me off at Mr. Jolivette's house, and I had a very memorable evening eating with him and Mr. Jolivette's housekeeper that cooked his meals for him. We sat at a formal dinner table with cloth napkins, and he served me steak. And he had no idea that I wasn't a meat eater at the time. And I know my dad probably didn't know what he was gonna serve me, but I ate it and I really enjoyed it, and came home and said, Dad, you won't believe I ate steak with Mr. Jolivette. But when I left his house, I just felt a little bit more confident being a teenager, which I've never forgotten that. Graduation came right after that, and I received a really nice note from him with good luck wishes going down my path to college. And 5 years later, I graduated, and unfortunately, he had passed away, so I never really got to tell him how much that meant to me, but I never forgot his gestures of encouragement during that time. So a third lesson, I guess, was reach out a hand to someone that doesn't expect it, and you really reap the benefits. As an adult, it's really easy to see how those early R&J days shaped my dad's work ethic and honesty, integrity, parenting, and grandparenting. So it's no surprise to see how all of this is passed down to my brother Mark, and Scott, and Craig, and Mike, and all the other people that I know that are on board that I don't know as well. At a time when so many of us are moving forward way too fast and forgetting how to treat people in life and in business, I think Mark and Scott have attracted the best in the business. And I guess the last lesson is that you surround yourself with genuinely good people, and life is successful, and you work for 100 years. And I know both of you don't want to work for 100
Well, we will have some food here pretty quick. Please enjoy yourself.